The first step towards achieving your dreams is having the right coach. Get the best education with Archocean and make your JEE Mains B.Arch and NATA dreams come true. Download the app now.
Number 1. Antony Gardi. Gardi spent his entire career in Barcelona, where he built all of his projects, the most famous of which is the 1883 cathedral known as La Sagrada Familia, still under construction today. His style was an ornate mix of Baroque, Gothic, Moorish and Victorian elements that often featured ornamental tilework and drew upon forms found in nature, an influence that can be seen in the tree-like columns holding up the vast interior of his church, as well as the undulating facade of another of his famous creations, the apartment block known as the Casa Milla, inspired by the multi-peaked mountain just outside of Barcelona called Montserrat. Gardi's work would go on to have a tremendous impact on subsequent generations of modernists. Work of Antony Gardi. Number 1 Sagrada Familia. Number 2 Casa Batlló. Number 3 Casa Los Botines. Number 4 Casa Milla. Number 5 Church Colonia Gel. Number 6 Casa Cauet. Number 7 Gel Palace. Number 8 Park Gel. Number 9 Episcopal Palace of Astorga. Number 10 Casa Vicens Gardi. Number 2. Frank Lloyd Wright. A Wisconsin native, Wright revolutionized 20th century architect, and his Midwestern upbringing played a crucial role in shaping his sensibility. Inspired by the low-lying building that dotted the American plains, Wright created the prairie house style as a reaction to the prevailing Victorian aesthetic, which emphasized dark decor and busy embellishments both inside and out. In its stead, Wright employed clean geometries with an emphasis on horizontal planes. His most famous building, Falling Water, a residence in Bear Run, PA, designed for Pittsburgh department store magnate Edgar Kaufman in 1935, features stacked rectangular balconies that seem to float over the natural waterfall incorporated into the house. Later in his career, Wright would embrace curvilinear elements, a shift that found its most celebrated expression in the Salomon R. Guggenheim Museum. Work of Frank Lloyd Wright. Number 1 Unity Temple. Number 2 A.D. German Warehouse. Number 3 Taliesin West. Number 4 Frederick C.R. Bin House. Number 5 Hollyhock House. Number 6 Falling Vatic. Number 7 Grady Gamage Memorial Auditorium. Number 8 Taliesin. Number 9 Tokyo Imperial Hotel. Number 10 Salomon R. Guggenheim Museum. Number 3 Mies van der Rohe. Famously holding to the proposition that less is more, German architect Mies van der Rohe stripped architecture to elemental geometric forms, pointing the way to minimalism. He banished all traces of ornamentation, using the innate qualities of materials such as steel and plate glass to define the look of his buildings. This approach came out of another credo, form equals function, espoused at the Desobojos, for which he served as the last director before the Nazis closed it down. His designs emphasized rationalism and efficiency as the route to beauty, an approach exemplified by the Barcelona Pavilion, built to house Germany's exhibit for the 1929 International Exposition in Barcelona. In it, you can see that while Mies, the name by which he's best known, abjured decorative details, he wasn't adverse opulence, as the liberal use of marble, red onyx and travertine in the structure attests. The resulting masterpiece is only matched, perhaps, by Mies' Seagram's Tower in New York. Work of Mies van der Rohe. Number 1 Barcelona Pavilion 1929. Number 2 Villa Tugendrat 1930. Number 3 Farnsworth House 1951. Number 4 Crown Hall 1956. Number 5 Seagram Building 1958. Number 6 IBM Building. Number 7 Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. Number 4 Philip Johnson. Johnson, role as the founding director of MoMA's Department of Architect had an enormous impact on the field, making him a gatekeeper who helped to shape architectural trends from 1935 onward. His was also a designer in his own right, though it's fair to say that he was more of a refiner of other people's ideas than he was an innovator. Nonetheless, his work achieved iconic status in a number of cases, most notably in the residence he built for himself in 1949. The house is a distillation of Mies van der Rohe's approach, and in fact, Johnson himself noted that it was more Mies than Mies. A transparent box set among exquisitely landscaped grounds, the glass house dissolves the boundaries between inside and out, public and private. Its expansive use of plate glass undoubtedly inspired much of the architect for today's high-rise luxury developments. Johnson similarly rode the postmodern wave with his Chippendale building for AT&T, now privately owned, so called for its broken pediment crown resembling the top of a classic 18th century highboy. Work of Philip Johnson. Number 1 Glass House, US. Number 2 Seagram Building, US. Number 3 550 Madison Avenue Sony Tower at T Building, US. Number 4 IDs Center, US. Number 5 PPG Palace, US. Number 5. Iros Sarin. During the post-war era, the Bohossa's straight-line philosophy evolved into the international style, the go-to aesthetic for new business headquarters and government office buildings around the world. In essence, the modernist ideal of simplicity became a form of corporate conformity, and it is against this backdrop that Iros Sarin's mid-century design served as a welcome corrective. In contrast to the standardized box adopted by the international style, Sarin employed swooping curves that gave his architecture a sense of soaring transcendence, most especially in his 1962 JFK terminal for the now-defunct TWA Airlines. Its gullwing roof and ecstatic interior are still thrilling, but its sense of architecture taking flight is a Sarin trademark, evident in other projects such as his 1947 design for St. Louis Magisterial Gateway Arch. Work of Iros Sarin. Number 1 General Motors Technical Center. Number 2 Miller House. Number 3 IBM Manufacturing and Training Facility. Number 4 David S. La Galls Rink. Number 5 Dulles International Airport. Number 6. Richard Rogers. When the Pompidou Center first opened in 1977, it was considered the epitome of a trend at the time known variously as high-tech and structural expressionism. British architect Richard Rogers was a leading proponent of the style. This building, designed as Paris' central institution for modern and contemporary art, suggests a structure turning inside out, with its heating and plumbing systems worn as the facade, which also features a glass-enclosed outdoor escalator climbing the height of the building. Rogers took a similar approach for another of his iconic buildings, the headquarters for Lloyd's of London. Work of Richard Rogers. Number 1 Reliance Controls, Swindon, UK 1967. Number 2 Wimbledon House, London, UK 1969. Number 3 Centre Pompidou, Paris, France 1977. Number 4 Inmos Microprocessor Factory Newport, UK 1982. Number 5 Lloyd's Building, London, UK 1999. Number 7 Burgess Airport, Madrid, Spain 2005. Number 8 Heathrow Terminal 5 London, UK 2008. Number 7. Rem Kools. Born in Rotterdam in 1945, Rem Kools is one of the most influential architects of his generation, not only as a building designer but also as an architectural theorist. He first came to prominence with the publication in 1978 of his book Delirious New York, an encomium to the city and its central role in shaping the 20th century, both economically and culturally. As for buildings, he is best known for the massive Central China Television headquarters in Beijing, China, a 44-story Mobius strip of a structure that appears to loop in on itself. The locals refer to it as Big Boxer Shorts. Work of Rem Kools. Number 1 CMG Headquarter, China. Number 2 Casa da Musica, Portugal. Number 3 Seattle Central Library. Number 4 Embassy of the Netherlands in Berlin. Number 5 D Rotterdam. Number 6 121 East 22nd, New York. Number 7 The Factory, England. Number 8 Garage Museum of Contemporary Art. Number 8. Norman Foster. A fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, and Le Corbusier, British architect Norman Foster worked early in career as an associate of Buckminster Fuller, the noted visionary and inventor of the geodesic dome. The latter's tessellated pattern of triangular forms must have made an impression on the young Foster, since his most famous buildings feature similar surface treatments for their facades. Exhibit A, 30 St Mary Axe in London, aka the Gherkin, a commercial skyscraper in London's financial district that opened in 2004. Its picker-like form tapering to a point has become an international icon, as synonymous with London as the Eiffel Tower is with Paris. Work of Norman Foster. Number 1 London City Hall, 2002. Number 2 The Gherkin, 2003. Number 3 HSBC Hong Kong 1986. Number 4 Reichstag 1999. Number 5 Tour de Colserola 1991. Number 6. Number 9. Renzo Piano. Unlike other architects on this list, Italian architect Renzo Piano isn't recognized for having a singular style. Instead, his buildings have been eclectic, ranging from the neo-brutalism of his design for the Whitney Museum's home in the meatpacking district, to the elegant, light-filled Menil collection in Houston, Texas, which resembles an overgrown version of a mid-century house by West Coast modernist Richard Neutra. However, his projects often share a certain industrial or technological look. He cut his teeth, assisting Richard Rogers in the design of the Pompidou Centre. The Shard in London is his largest building to date, a sharply tapering 95-story skyscraper made of glass and steel that has become his most recognized creation. Work of Renzo Piano. Number 1 Centre Pompidou. Number 2 The Menil Collection. Number 3 Kansai International Airport. Number 4 Nemo Science Museum. Number 5 Jean-Marie Thisbault Cultural Centre. Number 6 Parco della Musica. Number 10. Santiago Calatrava. The work of this Spanish architect has been described as neo-futurist, although sci-fi baroque might be closer to describing it. His buildings often resemble the ribcages of extinct robotic dinosaurs, if such things existed. His projects definitely attracted worldwide attention and garnered a reputation for massive cost overruns. Nonetheless, there's no denying that Calatrava is one of the most distinctive architects working today, as his best-known creation, the transit hub for the World Trade Center, attests. Finally open after years of delays and exploding expenditures, the transit hub is a vision in white, its interior dominated by a glass oculus allowing daylight to filter into its main hall. As it happens, Calatrava has another building on the WTC, a Greek Orthodox chapel that replaces one destroyed during the 9/11 attacks. It, too, is clad in white while its form is based on famed Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. Work of Santiago Calatrava. Number 1 Milwaukee Art Museum, MAMUS. Number 2 Athens Olympic Park, Greece. Number 3 Auditorio di Tenerife, Adam Martin, Spain. Number 4 Code Bridge, Spain. Number 5 Code Bridge, Israel. Number 5 City of Arts and Science, Spain. Thank you.
The first step towards achieving your dreams is having the right coach. Get the best education with Archocean and make your JEE Mains, B.Arch and NATA dreams come true. Download the app now.